First off, I want to say that I'm going to be doing these logs 5 days a week. Seven seems excessive considering how slowly things move, and I think five will be better. So I was planning on this is actually on Saturday. I'll release it on Monday, and Saturday I typically do like artistically related content. I know I'm not phrasing that properly. But before I get into that, quickly, I've had such a bad blockage, and I hope it's all fixed out. I know that even when the blockage itself is gone, I'll have like 3 days of significant pain, 3 to 4 after that. So, sucks. It is what it is. Anything else health wise? Nothing. Just making progress slowly. So, on a more uplifting note, I recently revisited In Cold Blood, and I want to speak on it. First off, I'll cover that it is a brilliant piece of art in that the author, Truman Capote, I believe, it is a master class in just showing, not really putting much bias into it. It kind of, and just pacing in general, for a based on a true story type thing, the pacing is just impeccable. It's hard to believe that it's not a novel. But, I read it some time ago and finished it recently. And aside from the artistic merit, because again, it is well done, and I really remembered it as like kind of a nihilistic type work, which I find annoying. Typically, young men and women are thrust into university, and they read a lot of more nihilistic stuff, which is good and fine, but then there's no edification to supplement that. You can't just break things down. Okay, yeah, life is incredibly rough. I'm the last person to advocate for shielding from the truth. But life is also beautiful. But if you just have the you could spiral into the darkness endlessly, and it does get darker and darker. But I mean, just in general, that is education. It gets darker and darker, but lighter and lighter. And in my opinion, as you can see, just empirically with how people come out of university, that it's too much darkness, not enough light. So I disregard this book, but it's actually not quite so nihilistic as it seemed. However, it's a harsh thing. And the reason I'm talking about this right now is because when I was younger, things like In Cold Blood really brought me away from faith. Because to sum things up, Dick and Perry, they both, hence the name, murder these completely innocent, uprighteous people in a truly tragic crime. That's where nihilism comes in. And it's really it gets somewhat complicated, but at the end of the day, it was pretty much for nothing. And there's a lot of psychological underpinnings that develop, and it is it is something that you need to read because it's so well done that to try to articulate it wouldn't do the book justice. That's why we have art. You have to actually consume it. It's inexpressible in a lot of cases. But circling back, reading something like this when I was younger and seeing, like, just to focus on the character of Perry, he is moved emotionally by art. He's somewhat delicate in nature, and it really seems that there's just something broken in him. He has these normal, like, human things, and he even seems to, like, be on the compassionate side, or I should say more like sensitive side of things, and yet he can murder in, I can't even say that word on YouTube probably, a family in cold blood, and it leads you through a series of questions. Like, it just seems like this man is broken, and at what point can you make a morality judgment on that case? You know, this is actually a similar vein of thought I was writing about when I was like 13. So it did send me away from spirituality. How could God present people that are so broken, um, you know, sociopaths and such, that what is a soul when someone is that deeply broken? And I don't have a good answer, only that there are certain elements of this fallen world we quite simply cannot understand and cannot reason with. I know that sounds like a cop-out, but hear me out. The thing is, we have this, well, we have Christianity. We have this book that is light years ahead of anything I've ever read, and I've read pretty extensively, and truly seems like nothing ever produced. And I've read all kinds of different, all kinds of esoteric writings, holy writings, and there are ways to nitpick at it, but we're kind of at a crossroads where it's like, I'm going to disregard all of this because I don't understand this little thing. So, well, instead of being like fully being actually I take that back. What I was about to say. It's actually more rational to take that leap of faith, I have found, especially when studying the Bible extensively, than to just be like, oh, here's a nitpick. Why did this happen? The answer is, we don't know. But that doesn't mean that just because we don't know, something doesn't necessarily make sense. We throw out this whole thing and just be nihilistic, don't believe. And that's where the leap of faith comes in. It's something that's bothered me my whole life, and it's only with getting older and seeing and absorbing so much that I finally reach a point where I can rationally understand. And it's not a cop-out, truly. If it like I said, it's something I wrestled with quite extensively, and that's my answer to you. The problem is when you get to these things, the philosophy gets so complex that it's no wonder that people that see these things on surface level and opinion shifts against God, religion. So that's a fantastic book, and I guess the last thing I'll say is I really recommend Paradise Lost, as that truly answered a lot of the philosophical dilemmas I had as a non-believer, and put things in perspective. Another thing in that regard is I had listened to recently in a podcast where people were saying when they do DMT, they see like threads, right? And the thread is like your soul. And I found it interesting that that image was represented so much in art. And as we get more and more sci-fi, I just I do believe in the soul, and again, that is someone that is truly was not raised a certain way. That I don't have. I just want what is most true, and if you are a bit more intellectually inclined, it's difficult because you just have to keep going through it layer by layer. But and there are definitely things that will make you question your faith, and we just have to understand, as I'll say to our children, my children, there are some things that is beyond human comprehension. That's getting to Paradise Lost. And again, just to reiterate, like that things are so powerful. There's so much evidence and just picturesque. Everything just connects so well that if you nitpick some certain things that we don't have answers to just disregard everything, that's not the rational response, in my opinion. So that's what I'll say on that. I've been really depressed about these health things recently. I know a lot of it is just withdrawal and pain, unfortunately. So I just put that out there. But it's nice to be able to speak on these things again. And like I said yesterday, it's very slow progress, but it's progress. So thank you for listening. Take care.